Hi, welcome to KiwaniTalk. We're a public information show put together by people from the Dearborn Kiwanis Club, normally at Dearborn High School, but during the summertime when we're filming this, we are on location at my office. My name is Gary Gardner, and welcome to the longest running cable access program in the entire universe. And we'll talk about universe in a little bit later on, and universal players and guilds and things like that. But today we're very happy to have a return guest, David Culliton, who is the publicity governor.
That's correct.
Welcome, Governor, to the show of the Dearborn Players Guild. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you so much for having me back. It's so cool to be here in a whole new locale. It's
we have the equipment that we use during the summer and the location shooting from the Dearborn Cable Commission. We thank them for that. It's nice to be able to work all year round.
Absolutely.
Too, so it's all good stuff. So we're going to talk about the Dearborn Players Guild and things theatrical. Let's talk about David Culliton, and I should say Governor Culliton.
Governor Culliton, as everybody should call me. So I am, as you said, the publicity governor for the Players Guild of Dearborn, and I have been serving in that role for the past 3 years, since 2020, just after we kind of started coming back from COVID. I've been a member of the guild since 2018. And I've been seeing shows there since I was a little kid. It's been a big part of my life in some way or another for many years. It was always a special place to me. I loved when my parents took me there to see shows. I was a very theatrical kid growing up. They started to enlist me in theater camps, and I discovered it was a thing that I liked to do. And kind of partway through college, I started being like, all right, I've been seeing stuff here forever. How can I get involved? And they, by sheer lucky happenstance, put out a call for directors for their summer children's shows. They'll do a show in the summer for teenagers and for younger kids. This year it was Rock of Ages and the SpongeBob musical, which were both delightful. But back when I first started, the two musicals were Grease and The Lion King, and I applied for both, and I initially actually was not chosen to direct either show, and I was like, oh, darn it, I'll get them next time. And then a day after I was sent the rejection email, the head of the kind of children's shows reached out to me. He said, hey, the woman we got for Lion King with a billion-page long resume dropped. Would you like to still do it? And I said, yes, please put me in, coach. And so they brought me in, and it was an absolutely magical experience. I was, immediately, treated like one of the family, and I've never looked back. So yeah, I've been very much involved in theater for a long time now, and the Guild has I refer to them as my home theater. They are my main place to go to express that very important part of myself and do it around a lot of people who I really, really love.
So did you grow up in the Dearborn area?
I grew up in the Livonia area, actually.
And close enough to go to Dearborn.
Yeah, about half an hour off. I currently now live in Ypsilanti, which is also half an hour off, just in a different direction. So it was just more like, I think that kind of speaks, though, to the awesomeness of the Guild, and that it wasn't something that was like super nearby for me. It wasn't like 5-minute walking distance. It was, we had to travel half an hour out to go there. But you're compelled to, because what they do is so tremendous.
Well, how about all the other guilds and all the other towns between Livonia and Dearborn? There must be a ton of them, right?
There is a tremendous Southeast Michigan theater scene. It's outstanding. I've done shows for other theaters as well, out in Livonia, out in Ypsilanti. And there is a lot of tremendous places. There's the Farmington Players Bar, and there's Downriver Actors Guild, Stagecrafters. The list goes on and on and on, and they're all tremendous. And one of the really cool things is all of these groups we acknowledge each other, and we acknowledge the fact that we kind of exist in this collective goal of putting on quality entertainment for the people in our areas. It never feels like really mean competition between us. There's a lot of really positive information sharing. So it's a brilliant collective. I just, personal bias toward the Guild, that's kind of my main place where I've been going, and I really like what I've found there, both artistically and from a community standpoint as well.
So the name Guild, portends an old style theatrical type of thing, and a guild of artisans plying their craft.
Yeah, well, I mean that is what it is. When the Guild was initially started in the 1920s, that is a lot of what it was. It was a bit more exclusive in its membership. It started as a very small group of people who were coming together to try to create a theater. And for the longest time, you had to get recommended by another member in order to get your own membership. So it started off as a very exclusive thing. Nowadays, you just got to pay a fee and participate in a show. But I think there's still something to be said for the Guild title. There is a stamp of excellence that I see at the Guild that is special to the Guild. Obviously, again, with every ounce of respect and admiration for all of the tremendous art that I see at all the other theaters in the area. None are lesser. There's just there's a je ne sais quoi to each theater, and the Guild certainly has a bit of that.
The facilities, let's talk about location, and we can come back to that again, in Dearborn.
Yeah.
If someone was looking for the Dearborn Players Guild, where would they find it?
So we are off Michigan Avenue, kind of in the downtown area, that downtown stretch of Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. We are, if you go kind of just off that down Outer Drive, that's where you'll find the Guild.
So for people who we go up to 43 cities, we're on the internet, Vimeo, YouTube. So people who want to know where that is.
Yes.
Michigan, Detroit, Michigan Avenue, US 12 runs east and west. Telegraph Road, US 24 north and south. Just east of that is Outer Drive and goes south about half a mile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Delightful. Yeah. A street called Madison Avenue. You can find the full directions to the Guild.
It's like a New York sort of thing.
Yeah. You can find the full directions on our website.
Too bad they didn't call it Broadway, I suppose.
Oh man, if only, right? Yeah, we might as well at this point, you know.
So the facilities, how long has the Players Guild been at the location down there in
Oh boy.
West Dearborn?
So when we started off in the 20s, we did not have that location. We actually were floating around for a little while, performing out of churches and the like. I believe we incorporated about 60, 70 years ago into a full building that's kind of been our mainstay ever since. But even though we've been in the same location, it has still not been a fully stayed thing. A lot of renovation has happened to the building over the years. We've added space. We've built out. We've built handicap-friendly accommodations. So it has been a place where we have stayed, but it is not a place that we simply sat in. It has been ours to create and build out from.
So if you are an aspiring thespian, okay, I'll use that word.
Yeah.
And you wanted to get an idea of what it was all about, where does someone start? They don't start as a starring role. You come in and...
Well, I mean, it depends. I started off as a director. It just depends on kind of what's available for you. The cool thing about the Guild, and again, any theater in the area, is it's not just for the actors. There is something for everybody. We have places for people who can do carpentry in our set building. If you're great at sewing or just really like bedazzling things, we got a costume department for you. Hair and makeup. If you're more logistically minded, there are producer roles that you can take on. Things like that. A whole swath of talents to be found. The main way for an actor to get involved, of course, is to audition for our shows. The auditions for each one of our regular season productions happen the Monday and Tuesday after the opening weekend of the previous production. So on September 11th, we will be opening our first musical of the season, Young Frankenstein. So that means on the 14th and 15th, we will be holding auditions for A Christmas Carol. And you can find all the info for that on our website, on our Facebook page. We post an event and we put down descriptions of what the show is, what roles are available, generally what we're looking for and what's expected of you. But also we put out a call for directors at the beginning of every season. And as governors for the Guild, we're always looking for people to add to our committee. When you join the Guild as a member, there's a great little kind of set of tick boxes where you can say, hey, not only am I involved in this current production, I'd like to be involved in this committee and that committee. And that gets sent out to all of the governors, and if somebody says, you know what, I'm really interested in helping with publicity efforts, their name gets forwarded to me, I reach out to them and I say, hey, come on, join us. All of a sudden, a whole different talent is being put to use. So there's something for everybody, really.
People have said there's a Players Guild website.
Yes.
What is the website?
The Players Guild of Dearborn.org would be our website. It's a tremendous little place. You can find all the info about all of our current shows. You can find some info about our history, great archive of past shows, past governors and presidents, et cetera, et cetera. And on top of that, you can find our ticket information. We have a little subsection of the website for tickets, and then an external link that takes you to the actual website that we use as a service for selling our tickets.
People probably don't understand how much support, backup there is behind the scenes, literally the scenes, for the number of actors on the stage, and sometimes there's a large number, sometimes it's 3 or 4, but how many exponentially numbers and detail and backup and things go into these productions?
I mean, it is innumerable, simply because it's not just the people who are directly backstage, it is everybody who brings the production together. Again, there is a tremendous logistical, administrative side to the theater as well. Again, serving on the Board of Governors, we have a whole bunch of people that cover our ticketing, our budgeting, the programs, all of the backstage departments, hair, makeup, set, costume, etc. There is an innumerable amount of people per actor. The ratio is blown up further than you can ever imagine. When you go in and see one of our shows, you open up the program and you'll see a decent amount of actors' names, and then you'll go to the next page and there will just be, here is every single person that has helped out on this production in some form or other, and it takes up at least a page every time, a full page of just names crammed in there. It is a wide berth of people.
So like you said before, you don't have to be an actor to be part of the Players Guild of Dearborn.
No, not
you can
at all.
bring any talent that you might have, or maybe a talent that you'd like to learn. You can start off as an apprentice or a helper or an assistant or something.
Oh no, well absolutely. That's the tremendous thing too of community theater being amateur theater, non-professional. You don't need to be the single most trained whatever going in. You just need to have a passion and a desire. I have seen so many people walk into a theater setting for the first time, all nervous and like, I kind of came out here because I forced myself to try something new, and then they blossom into tremendous talents both on stage and backstage. No, there is you do not need to remotely be some great trained professional if you want to learn anywhere from being a great actor to putting together production design elements to working on an administrative level. That's actually been a tremendous learning curve for me, is a young person in school looking toward the professional world. Being entrusted with an administrative role at the Guild has been a tremendous boon on that set of skills for me. I've grown a lot as a person and as a professional working within my current role. So there's a little bit of something to learn in all aspects that we have there.
Well, you've given us a little taste. You've given 2 names of the plays that are coming up. We're going to come back after the break, talk about all 5 of the upcoming 2023 season, get a little flavor for each of them, and maybe get people to say, I really want to see those.
Oh, you're going to want to see these ones.
Don't go away. We're coming right back with David Culliton, Governor Culliton from the Dearborn Players Guild.
I like that.
We'll be right back.
It's easy to get caught up in the details. The day-to-day grind, numb to the noise, going round and round and round. Deep down, there's something missing, a void inside, a hole to fill, a life lacking. Then, in a minute of clarity, it hits you. The aha moment. You're needed. Kids need you. Kids of all kinds. All these funny, rambunctious, sweet, attention-seeking, vulnerable bundles of energy. They need your love and support. Some have huge life hurdles. Poverty, disease, hunger. And they're reaching out for you. around the corner, around the world. You are a Kiwanian at heart, a role model, a guide, a builder of dreams. Together, we are Kiwanis, passionate and strong, ready to move mountains or grains of sand. Imagine every child reaching their potential. The power to help is in you. It's not about us. It's about them. Do you hear the call? Kids need Kiwanis. Kiwanis needs you.
Welcome back to KiwaniTalk. I'm your host, Gary Gardner. We're continuing our discussion with Governor David Culliton from the Dearborn Players Guild, talking about all things Dearborn Players Guild. And you've got 5 productions coming up for the 2023-24 season.
Yes.
And you mentioned Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein, absolutely. No, this is this season as a whole. I want to start off by saying, so I have the tremendous honor of not only being the publicity governor, I also serve under the script governor on his committee. And what my role there is, I'm part of a committee that helps pick the shows for each season. So I was part of the selection process for this season, and it's one that I'm tremendously excited for. I've been calling it Oops, All Bangers, because it's every single show is a tremendous show with tremendous name value, historical value. So yes, we open our season with the classic Mel Brooks comedy, Young Frankenstein, turned into a big, brassy Broadway musical. All of the scenes and jokes you love from the movie, transplanted right there onto the live stage for you. You can laugh along with everybody in the theater, but everything blown up to an 11. The putting on the Ritz sequence is taken from a 2-minute joke bit to this giant 10-minute tap number that just flip-flops between every little Broadway spectacle bit you can think of. The Elizabeth, the fiance, saying "Please don't touch me," that gets turned into a giant production number. The music in it is tremendous. Having this obviously very funny feel to it, but it's also very moody as well. It fits that kind of horror comedy noir feel that the original film went for. So that's tremendous. That is currently in rehearsals. We open that, as I believe I mentioned in the first half, on September 11th, and that runs for 3 whole weeks.
So this is in the fall of 2023.
This is in the fall of 2023.
And then you mentioned that you've got A Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol, yes. The perennial classic, one that I don't believe the Guild has ever put on, or at least if we have, it has been literal decades. And so we figured, we're kind of going for, seasonal theming, Young Frankenstein in the fall around Halloween time. So Christmas around the Christmas Carol around the Thanksgiving, Christmas time, of course. That one is going to be another tremendous one. We have it directed by one of our kind of local legends that we are proud to have, a man named Paul Bruce, who is tremendous as a director. I've worked with him personally. And it's the version of the play we're going for. It's big, it's bold. It's not a full-on musical like Young Frankenstein is, but I believe it has Christmas caroling throughout. So it stays very true to the name. And of course, it's the classic story that everybody knows. Ebenezer Scrooge is taken on the mystical journey with the 3 ghosts. I have no doubt it's going to be tremendous. A big cast for it that's going to need to be filled. So if you're looking for a chance to get started in the theater, Christmas Carol is a great opportunity for you to join. That's going to be a big cast.
I want to be Tiny Tim.
You want to be Tiny Tim? We'll make it happen. I'll put in a good word for you. I'm like, you should see the way he says, "God bless us."
Everyone.
Everyone.
There you go.
Yes.
So when is that going to be out?
That is going to be opening in November for 3 weeks.
And if you have questions, go to DearbornPlayersGuild.org.
PlayersGuildofDearborn.org.
See, then we do it backwards and they get it the right way. So
exactly. It's all about
one more time.
PlayersGuildofDearborn.org is the website.
All
you're
the
going to want to
information
go to.
is there.
All the information.
So that takes you through Christmas time, and then there's a Blythe thing.
Blythe Spirit in January, again for 3 weeks. All of our main season shows run for 3 weeks. Blythe Spirit, a classic comedy by Noel Coward, who was a very well-regarded English satirist of the early 20th century. It is the story of a young man in Edwardian England with a deceased fiance who suddenly comes back from the dead and is haunting him and his family and friends. Hijinks ensues. It is a classic comedy. It's had, I believe, 2 different movie adaptations over the years.
Shades of Topper.
Shades of, yes, a little bit of Shades of Topper. Shades of a lot of things in there. Again, kind of an early entry in the horror comedy genre. Obviously, the ghost element isn't nearly as horrific as in something like, you know, your Conjuring movies, Exorcist, etc. But it does have that spooky element to it, and it's a bit of a visual treat. All the ways the script calls for the ghosts to manifest things happening around this poor man's flat, even if we don't see the ghost on stage. It's a tremendous, goofy, fun, wacky comedy with some very fun surprises sprinkled in, and I'll leave that as a bit of a teaser.
And that'll be coming out in January?
That'll be coming out in January. Auditions for that will be in November, right after Christmas Carol opens.
Okay, so that sounds like it's kind of a different, this Edwardian theme from the Scrooge to the Blythe.
There are some similarities, but it takes itself far less seriously than A Christmas Carol ever does, I have to say.
Okay, so then moving in closer to spring.
Yes. In March, we open Thornton Wilder's classic Our Town, which is the story of a small town called Grover's Corners, and it's simply it's kind of one of the original slice of life stories, if you will. We simply see what it's like in a bustling small town at the turn of the century, and it takes you through 3 stages of the play, 3 different acts, which we'll find a way to break up into 2 acts for a clean intermission. And the kind of front half of the show deals with youth and love. And then the back end of the show goes into death. It kind of is following a full life cycle from youth to death. It covers a large span of time in this town, and it's got a tremendous meta-theatrical element to it. It is a show that is very purposefully minimalist. We have very little setting to it, very few props in use, period costumes, but simple things like ladders to suggest someone standing at their window. It's brilliantly effective, and in its simplicity is such a beautiful emotional core. That's another one that is directed kind of by one of our local legends, Brian Townsend, again, a man who I've worked with him as a director and myself as an actor, and I know for a fact what meticulous detail he puts into his shows. This could not be a better fit between director and show. Another very exciting one, big cast. Auditions for that will be in January after Blythe Spirit opens.
So you've got then looks like a nautical one, Into the Wind.
Not quite wind.
I'm wrong? No?
Yes,
Okay.
Into the Woods, which is a bit less nautical. This is a little more landlocked.
Should have wrote my words better.
It happens. There is inherent the wind, but we haven't touched that one.
Yeah.
Into the Woods, the Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine classic musical, a very popular musical. It is the story of a whole bunch of fairy tales coming together and meeting up, crashing together, and blowing back apart again. We have the stories of Jack and the Beanstalk, Cinderella, and Rapunzel, along with a few other little things, Little Red Riding Hood as well, mixed together with an original fairy tale about a baker and his wife trying to break a curse so they can start a family. And it's a wonderful show. It's hilarious. It's got a great sense of humor to it, mashing all these fairy tales up in a fun way. It takes the kind of, it's not so much Disney as Brothers Grimm. It has that bit of darkness to it. Some of the, gorier parts of fairy tales get featured a little bit. And it's another one that's got a tremendous heart to it. The first act is all about what happens on the way to happily ever after. The second act is what happens after happily ever after, and the sort of consequences that come of all of these quests of people trying to get things for themselves without really thinking about the lives of others and how they're impacting them. And it's got a tremendous message about community and about family and parenthood. A tremendous show, tremendous music. It's going to be awesome.
And that's going to be coming out in?
That is going to be coming out in May. Auditions will be in March after our town opens.
So we're coming on the last couple of minutes,
Yes.
but compare being in a theater, the roar of the grease paint, the smell of the crowd type of thing going on, but compared to sitting home watching Netflix.
Oh man, that's such a big question. I mean, the main thing that everybody will tell you is there is an energy to the live theater you cannot get sitting at home watching a stagnant TV set, or even fully in a movie theater either. You are gathered amongst a crowd of people who are experiencing a play, a story in real time that is being created for you in real time. You share the space with the people creating the story in front of you. There's an energy in that you can't simply find just clicking through Netflix. It's a very, for community theater, it's a communal atmosphere. You're sort of in cooperation between the audience and the performer and everybody backstage who's worked on it, with the understanding that something magical is about to unfold in front of you that you can't get on TV because it's there in front of you, uncut. If mistakes happen, you just got to roll with them. And there is such a thrill to that that I find deeply compelling, and that's what brings me back to the theater time after time after time.
And you said something, and I think it's embodied in the way that David Culliton, Governor Culliton, presents this, which is the energy.
Yes.
The energy of being live and in person, and not just the sights, but the sounds, the smells.
Yes.
Being in a venue that is 80, 70 years old.
It's an entire sensory experience and a communal experience that's simply just unlike anything else in the world, really.
So the Dearborn Players Guild,
Yes.
on just off of Outer Drive, south of Michigan Avenue
Yes,
in Dearborn.
on Madison, yes.
Madison Street. The website, one more time.
PlayersGuildofDearborn.org.
And the 5 shows, real quick, are Young Frankenstein, Christmas Carol, Blythe Spirit, Our Town, and Into the Woods.
Woods, there you go.
Not to the wind.
Absolutely.
David Culliton, it's been great having you back here again. It sounds like a tremendous thing. And if you're interested, go to the website.
PlayersGuildofDearborn.org.
You got to take the cue when you get pointed at.
Yeah, I was looking off in the wrong direction. Oh boy.
There you go. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming to watch KiwaniTalk live in person. Maybe we should do it at the Players Guild sometime.
Please.
Come on, we'll do it live. Anyway, I'm Gary Gardner. See you next time. Bye-bye.